Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Welcome to our next session on project management fundamentals. Today we'll be discussing the different type of contract used in the project management. Understanding contract types is essential for ensuring that both the client and contractor have clear expectations and responsibilities. In this session, we will cover the main types of contracts used in project management. Each type of contract serves a different purpose and is suitable for different situations, depending on the project scope and requirement. By the end of this session, you should have a clear understanding of when and how to use each type of contract. The first type of contract we will discuss is the cost plus contract. It is also known as cost remeasurable contract. In this type of contract, the seller is considering the actual cost incurred while completing the work plus an additional fee representing profit. Cost plus contract are often used when the project scope is not well defined or likely to change during the project. Let me give you some few examples about cost plus contract in construction project. So if we are going to construct a luxury home construction, let's assume this scenario. A client wants to build a custom luxury home with unique architectural features and high-end material. The design process is still evolving, and the client may request changes or upgrades during the construction, leading to potential cost fluctuation. Why cost plus? A cost plus contract allows the client to cover the actual cost of the construction, including materials, labors, and any changes made during the project. The contractor is paid for these costs plus a fee for their services, providing flexibility for the client to make changes without needing to renegotiate the contract. Another scenario for another project best fit for the cost plus contract is a restoring of historical building. A developer is restoring a historical building to preserve its original structure and design. The exact condition of the building isn't fully known until the work begins, and there is a high likelihood of discovering unforeseen issues such as structural damage or the need of specialized restoring techniques. In that case, why we should use cost plus? The cost plus contract allows the developer to pay the contractor for all costs incurred, including unexpected repairs or specialized labor, plus an agreed upon profit margin. This ensures that the project can proceed smoothly even and new challenges arise. Next, we have lump sum contracts, also known as a fixed price contract. In this type of contracts, a fixed price is set for a well-defined product, service, or a result. This means the contractor agrees to complete the project for a predetermined amount, regardless of the actual cost incurred. Lump sum contracts are commonly used in projects with a clear scope of work, where the costs can be accurately estimated from the outset. Examples of lump sum contract in construction projects: residential housing development. The scenario here we have a developer is building a residential housing community with multiple identical units. The design, materials, and construction methods are standardized across all units, and the project scope is well defined from the beginning. So why use lump sum? Lump sum contract is suitable because the scope of work is clear and the cost can be accurately estimated. The contractor agrees to complete the entire project for a fixed price, which simplifies budgeting and ensuring cost control for the developer. Another example of cost control is constructing a commercial office building. A company is constructing a new office building based on a finalized set of architectural plans. The design, materials, and timeline are clearly specified, and the project has no expected scope changes. So in that case, it is straightforward to use the lump sum contract. The third type of contract is time and material contract. In time and material contract, the client agrees to pay the contractor based on the time spent and the materials used. This type of contract is typically used when the scope of work is not clearly defined, or if we would like to use an expert. An example of time and material contract is hiring consultant. In the construction projects, usually the client pays to the consultant in monthly basis based on the professions. Like I need electrical engineer, mechanical engineer, civil engineer. Each engineer has a rate in monthly basis, and a manager has a rate in monthly basis, and so on. So time and material contract, now you know that your consultant in the project should be paid in time and material contract. The fourth type of the contract is unit price contract, also known as remeasure contract. In this contract, the contractor is paid for the actual quantity of each item performed, as measured in the field during construction. Each unit price includes all labor, material, equipment, overhead, and profit related to the scope of work. This contract is typically used in the project with repetitive work. You might think why we could use this type of contract in one construction project. Let me give you one example. The excavation work of a large construction site. Let's assume this scenario. A contractor is hired to perform excavation work for a large construction project, such as digging foundation for multiple buildings. The amount of earth to be moved is estimated, but the actual volume will be depending on soil conditions and other factors discovered during the excavation process. So why use unit price? A unit price contract is appropriate because it is allowed payment based on the actual cubic meters of earth excavated. The contract type is beneficial when the scope of work can be measured in defined units, ensuring that the contractor is paid accurately for the work done, even if the quantity differ from initial estimation. Choosing the right type of contract depends on the specific circumstances of your project. For example, use a cost-plus contract when the scope is uncertain. The lump sum contract is the best for project with a clear scope, often used in governmental contract. Time and material contract are ideal when you need to hire external expertise. Unit price contract work for repetitive work. Understanding when to use each type of contract helps to manage risks and ensure that the project runs smoothly. Each type of contract carries different risks for both the client and the contractor. For example, in a cost-plus contract, the client bears more financial risk if the project cost exceeded expectations. On the other hand, in a lump sum contract, the contractor bears more risk if the actual costs are higher than the agreed upon fixed price. It is important to choose the right contract type, balance the risk between the client and the contractor. From this shape, we can see that the fixed price contract has low risk in the client because already they are going to pay a fixed amount of money whatever happens. And it is high, very high risk in the contractor because you don't know what is going to happen anything unforeseen they might face. On the other hand, the cost plus, as we agreed, it is very high for the client and very low risk in the contractor. They are going to get paid anyway. Let's take a moment to test your understanding of the different contract type. You can pause the video now and start thinking which type of contract fits this situation. So which type of contract, also called a remeasurement contract, it is a unit price. If you would like to hire a soil consultant for 6 months, which type of contract you should use? Best one is the time and materials. If you have high risk on the contract, what does it mean? It is a lump sum contract. If you have contractor gets what he paid for with an extra percentage, this is what we call cost plus. So it is very simple. We have only these 4 main contract types, and now you know when you should use each one of them. Since we talked about when the project starts, let me tell you as well when the project ends. You might be surprised that the project will have 2 scenarios to be completed or to be ended. The first one, which is the most common and the most famous, finished, the project is achieved its objectives. But also, the project can be finished if it is terminated. We change it in the strategy, not visible anymore, the contractor is not performing well, so termination also is one thing to finish the contract. I hope you enjoyed this lesson. See you in the next one.